Reckless Customs R1 Fender, R6 Fender, something like that. And they're pretty cool. I've had it for 500 miles now. I figured I'd do a little review on how I put it on. So it prompted me to take this off. I just want to make a couple of changes to it. I wanted to get that bend in there. And the next thing was I rode in the rain. I think my filter got clogged up with water because it was having a hard time running. So went about 10 miles an hour slower. So I got this piece of plastic. I trimmed it out to fit in here. And this could be a Coke bottle or anything. This happens to be part of that back fender that I cut off in the original Gen 5. So that's going to sit in there like that. And I'll zip tie it in place. And that's going to protect my air filter from the rear tire throwing water all over it. Bolts to the top with these two bolts. And they just screw in there. That thing can go facing this way, or that thing can go facing that way. You got to kind of take the spacers you have and figure out the best direction to get it centered. It only comes with like that bolt, that nut. It's a bolt that holds the exhaust mount onto this tab on the engine frame in the very back. Take that bolt out and toss it because that's the mount hole you're going to use. The threads go all the way through on that tab. That's the one that barely clears the back tire. So this bolt goes all the way through. And once it goes through, you want it to poke out just far enough to put a nut on there. And they supply that nut. And holding your exhaust mount on. And then this is holding your mount. And it's just compression of one bolt. I know it seems like it's not enough, but I've had it on there for 500 miles and it hasn't slipped down. So this would sit right here like this. And spaced out however much you want it to get it centered. So I centered the fender on the tire. And then it would have been off-centered like this if I didn't trim it. So to clear the rear shock, I had to take my Dremel and notch it out a bit to get it to fit. So I marked that too. And you can see I notched it out about that much with my Dremel. You can't really tell when it's on the bike. Nobody notices it. You can kind of see down in there to get your spacing right. There's enough room to get your hand in there and stuff. But not really enough room to get tools in there and wrenches. So once you get your spacing set, then you can take the, I took the wheel off. The other modification I made is this comes really close to the tire. Figured out which way I wanted it to go first, this way or this way. And once I figured out I wanted to go this way, over the tire and bent it. It bends real easy. Without the bend, when I got the fender low enough over the tire, how I liked it, it stuck up too high like this. I couldn't get it low enough over the tire to clear that tire. It had to stick up like this. My combination of spacers ended up like this. The little one on the outside, just to get the bolt length right for the nut on the end. And I ended up using this spacer and then a nut as a spacer that's big enough to just slide over it. So that's going to be my spacers between the engine block, and this will be here, and the nut will be there. So yeah, there's my zip tied on air filter splash guard. Homemade. I don't even think you'll be able to see it. So I'm threading it all in. You can see there's really no room to work when that wheel's in there. So I just pulled the wheel off. And the bolt on the outside. Just gonna kind of snug it up so I can move it and put the wheel on and then get it to the height I want it. And with that bend in it, I can get it real low to the tire like this without rubbing right back there. Before it was sticking up like this. That looks a lot better with that fender hugging that tire. And don't worry, we're gonna drop that front fender down to hug that tire. And you get a nice little filter water protector.